Hi. This video was rushed because we procrastinated and now we only have 2 days to work on it. It is like 10 p.m. right now.
It's actually closer to 11.
Anyways, I'm sure you've read the title. We are basically just talking about every single character from the Mr. Men show in order because we have no other ideas.
Yay.
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 Anyways, we're just doing them like in order, like the order that's on the wiki because what other order would we do them in? So yeah, we're starting with Mr. Tickle and we're going to end with Little Miss Daredevil. So we may as well
Okay.
just get right directly into it because what else would we do?
Looks like someone needs a tickle.
Mr. Tickle sucks.
Mr. Tickle really could have been written better so that he comes off as less of a creep.
Yeah, he could have been written better. I feel like Mr. Tickle, he's a perfectly fine little man, but he's a victim of poor writing.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, when I first started watching the show, I absolutely hated him because he really creeped me out. But now I can kind of tolerate him a bit better. He's a bit endearing to me sometimes, but like a lot of the time, he still kind of freaks me out. It's weird.
Yeah. So that's Mr. Tickle.
Oh, that's disgusting!
Mr. Happy.
Mr. Happy needs a hug.
Yeah. There's really not much else we can say about him. He's like Mr. Happy, you know?
He's just Mr. Happy is to Mr. Men what Abe Lincoln was to Clone High.
Yeah, it's like, except I don't hate Mr. Happy. Mr. Happy's actually really nice.
Yeah.
Abe sucks though.
Yeah.
Uh, Mr. Happy is just like he's just trying to be a happy guy, but he's actually a really sad guy inside. Poor dude, honestly.
Yeah, like I said, Mr. Happy needs a hug.
He does need a hug.
Oh, and over there is an apple core. Very funny nose.
Mr. Nosey and Mr. Small.
They're gay.
They sure are.
Désolé, Monsieur Marchand.
Wait, no, we still have to talk about them. Basically, I mentioned this before on like Tumblr or something, but Mr. Nosey and Mr. Small could have super easily been way worse if they weren't put together. Mr. Small could have super easily just ended up as another one of the slapstick victim characters, like Mr. Bump, Miss Calamity, Mr. Quiet, etc., etc. And Mr. Nosey could have super easily just been written off as some like weird, creepy dude who goes in people's houses to find out what they're doing. But instead, the show creators, despite all the other mistakes they made, they decided to put these two together, and I think that that is the saving grace of this entire television program. Like, somehow, by making these two characters homosexuals, they just completely saved both of them from what would have ended up being a horrible characterization of them.
Yeah.
I talked too long there. Do you have anything to say about them?
They are just so precious together, and Mr. Nosey looks like he gives really good hugs.
He does look like he gives really good hugs.
I love when he like just sits down and he just kind of like whomp.
Yeah! I have an image up right now of that, yes.
Yeah, is it the image I sent you?
Yes. Mr. Nosey gives really good hugs, and Mr. Small receives the really good hugs.
Yeah!
Yeah! This was a very positive interaction. Wow.
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 Désolé, Monsieur Malchance. Je voulais simplement vous dire bonjour.
Mr. Bump.
Mr. Bump also needs a hug.
Yeah, it's like this little man, this little blue dude has been through so much in so little time. Like, could someone please get him out of this show? Give him a blanket or something? Like, give him a nice bowl of soup? Just
Man, no, I want a nice bowl of soup.
then go make yourself a nice bowl of soup.
I will, but I have to finish making this video first.
Oh, yeah, true. Also, it's 11 at night. So, yeah.
You think that will stop me?
No. There's really not much to talk about with Mr. Bump because his whole thing is just he gets hurt and then you are supposed to laugh apparently. But I don't laugh. It actually makes me really sad. I don't like Mr. Bump's bits just because they just make me sad. It's like what are you supposed to what's supposed to be your reaction to him? I mean sometimes it's funny. Sometimes his are funny. Like the bit in like the fuck car wash episode, that one, that's good. That was funny. But the rest of the time he's kind of just sad. It's like I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not much else to say. He's just kind of a very sad, tragic character. Also, my current Discord profile picture is of Mr. Bump. That gives a time frame as to when this was recorded. Yay. That's it. Alright.
Ooh, Mr. Messi, you've spilled grape juice in my car!
Mr. Messi and Mr. Fussy. I grouped them together because it is impossible for me to talk about one without talking about the other. I am taking over here because I am the one who has a lot of history with these two. Not as much as some of the later characters who I'm sure you are already thinking of, but I have some history with these two. Mainly about their supposed homosexuality. These two characters are so gay that the showrunners realized the showrunners must have realized this at some point, how gay these two come across with one another, that they kind of just started putting them with other characters even when it seems like they shouldn't, just to make it less gay. It's like there's multiple examples of Mr. Messi and Mr. Fussy bits where there's a third unnecessary character thrown in seemingly just to make it not gay. Such as Sneezes and Hiccups, where Mr. Tickle is thrown in for no reason. There's Food, where Mr. Happy was thrown in for no reason. There is the movies, I believe, where Mr. Noisy was thrown in for no reason, etc., etc., etc. There is a lot of examples. It's like they're so gay that they just kept on putting more characters in to make it not gay. But then, this is a sort of a personal anecdote, but my girlfriend started making jokes that every time a character who was seemingly unnecessary was thrown into a Mr. Messi and Mr. Fussy bit, she would joke that Mr. Fussy just has even more boyfriends, just makes him even more gay. I talked for very long about the homosexuality of Mr. Messi and Mr. Fussy. I should probably actually talk about those two now. Yeah. Wait, Corey, before I continue, do you have anything to say about these two?
Mr. Snickety Snickety Snick.
Mr. Snickety Snickety Snick. Speaking of Mr. Snickety Snickety Snick, can I just say, he got way worse in season 2. Like, I still like him, but season 1, Mr. Fussy is superior. Season 2, Mr. Fussy, it wishes that he was season 1 Mr. Fussy. You know? Like, I miss the season 1 version. He was better. Also, his design is better. I know that season 2 is more accurate to the original books, but I actually like the lighter shade of green more, if I'm being honest. That is all. Do you have anything else to say?
Nope.
Alright.
No, 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 can't hold on. Oh, Miss Scary, please. I have a very weak tummy.
Mr. Nervous.
Needs a hug.
All of these characters need hugs. Mr. Nervous, I actually really like Mr. Nervous, if I'm being honest.
So do I.
I didn't like him that much when I first started watching, but now I'm very attached to stupid purple grape man. Like, he has done nothing wrong in the entire show. Like, he is just scared. Someone give him a hug. Go put him under the blanket with Mr. Bump. Get him a nice bowl of soup as well. I think they
You
both.
keep making me want soup. Stop making me want soup.
Then go get soup.
I'm recording a video.
Oh well, you can get soup after.
Jesus, Finn.
Anyways, so yeah, Mr. Nervous is good. He is pure. He is wonderful, and he deserves better. He deserves soup.
Mr. Nervous, he's just a sad character.
He is.
Because, like, this man, his psyche is just being continually broken down episode by episode, and we are watching it happen.
Yeah, it's like, my man's out here just trying to live his life when there are two characters who seem to be absolutely dedicated to making him as miserable as possible. Those two being Miss Scary and Miss Naughty. Like, they are so mean to him. It's like, what's wrong with you? Leave him be. He deserves better.
Mr. Nervous deserves so much better.
He does deserve so much better.
I can hear you!
Mr. Noisy. Mr. Noisy sucks, and I hate him, and he is awful, and if he had a neck, I would strangle him.
Fuck Mr. Noisy.
Fuck Mr. Noisy. Okay. I never liked Mr. Noisy that much. Even back in the day when I hated Mr. Stubborn more than him. It's like, I had multiple reasons for why I hated Mr. Stubborn, which I'll get into later. But I always just had one pure rage. I always just felt rage towards Mr. Noisy. There's no specific reasons. It's just that his whole purpose seems to be to make me mad, to make people mad. His whole thing is that he's just loud, and he yells at other people for being loud, and he just upsets Mr. Quiet. I like Mr. Quiet too much to like Mr. Noisy, you know? It's like, I also like Mr. Fussy too much to like Mr. Noisy. He is just intolerable. Also, as a person who does not like loud noises, he terrifies me.
Mr. Noisy is ableist.
He is ableist, and he sucks, and I hate him, and I am going to kick him into the sun, like the soccer ball he is.
Bye.
Hey, you're not the pizza delivery guy.
Mr. Lazy.
I am taking over this segment because I love Mr. Lazy way more than Finn loves Mr. Lazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Lazy is a really interesting character because compared to the books, he's more like actually lazy instead of just sleepy. Because most of his segments revolve around him going to very extreme lengths to avoid working. Just like mood. And usually it doesn't end well for him, so at least that's a step above some of the other characters in this. Because he actually, gets consequences for his laziness.
Occasionally.
And it's like, I like how they gave him a redesign for the show as well, since his original book design literally looks like a penis.
Yeah. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of his show design either, because he looks really weirdly humanoid, and I don't like it that much, but I do still prefer it to his book design. Also, I really like the shade of green he is. He's really nice green.
Yes, he is a very nice green.
Yes. Also, can we just talk about how he got miscalamitied? Like, in season... He is almost never in season 2. It is ridiculous. It's like, he wasn't explicitly removed like Miss Calamity, obviously, because otherwise then he would be like Miss Calamity. But no, he is in season 2, but he is just so barely in it that he may as well have not been in it at all. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's really sad. It makes me really sad. And I wish he was in it more because I like him, and I miss him every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Funny. I have nothing to say about Mr. Funny. I have nothing.
Mr. Funny just kind of exists.
He's Mr. Funny. There is nothing else we can say.
Mr. Bounce, you're breaking the safety rules. You have to wait for me to let you off.
Mr. Bounce. Similar to Mr. Funny, there's not really much to say here. He bounces. That is his personality trait.
Why was Mr. Bounce even included? He barely does anything.
I know, right? It's like, even in the bits he is actually plot important in, rather than just being used as a prop to bounce, it seems like he could be really easily substituted for any other character. Like, the bit in, like, Mall where he wants to buy some shoes at Mr. Scatterbrain's shoe store. He could be literally anyone else, and it would still work. The only bit I can think of where he was essential that he was Mr. Bounce was, Miscarious bit in Up and Down. But even then, he could really easily be replaced by anyone else. They didn't have to bounce up the stairs. They could just walk up the stairs. Honestly, it being Mr. Lazy instead of Mr. Bounce could have been really funny, because, like, he just walks up the stairs super slowly every time. I think that would be funny. Like, well, I would prefer the Mr. Bounce version, obviously, because it would be less slow-paced, but it could be done without Mr. Bounce.
Yeah.
He feels very pointless, which is sad, because he's cute and I like him, but he's really useless.
Also, can we talk about his US voice for a second? Because
he's voiced by a white guy, isn't he?
I'm pretty sure. Actually, I don't know. I'm gonna Google this real quick.
With the assumption that his voice actor is white, the fact that he has an obviously faked Indian accent, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It's very...
It's not even, I don't even think it is an Indian. It's like the Apu accent.
Yeah, it's very suspicious. I don't like that at all. UK Mr. Bounce, my beloved US Mr. Bounce. Racism.
Yeah.
Mr. Bounce deserved better.
Cowabunga, dudes!
Mr. Strong. Ooh, I am a homosexual. I mean, I'm not, but I like men. Yes.
And that's all you're gonna say?
I like Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong is, he's probably one of my favorite characters. He is a himbo. He is the Mr. Men Show's himbo. And I love him for that. He is just so stupid, and he is so strong, and I care about him very, very much. He and Mr. Quiet are dating.
Mr. Strong? It's just that he's just a fun character because he's kind of dopey as well.
Yeah.
He's just kind of a man. And I also really love his not his US voice. His US voice is good because it's like the Sylvester Stallone inspired.
Yeah.
But I love his UK voice so much more because, like, it's Barnacles.
It is Barnacles.
I
do like his UK voice. I like his US voice more because he doesn't sound like Barnacles in the US. Like, every time I hear his UK voice, all I can hear is Barnacles. So I like the US one more because it's more distinct to me. You know?
I guess.
That's giving me the hump.
Mr. Grumpy. Ooh, we got a good one.
Mr. Grumpy.
Yes. Mr. Grumpy is probably one of the characters that Corey and I have some of the most similar opinions on, because we just agree he is amazing. He is wonderful. Like, Mr. Grumpy is great. He is a brick, and he is mad. And it's amazing. He is just... he's one of the best characters in the show. And he is a brick and he is mad. That's all you need to appease us. Like, give us a square, make him blue, and make him just upset. And then it's just amazing.
Like, put a little funny hat on him.
Yeah, you gotta put the funny hat. His little stupid hat with the little dip in it. Yes.
Mr. Grumpy, like, I'm a fan fiction writer. Mr. Grumpy is so fun to write.
He is fun to write. I've also written him.
especially because like in my fan fictions, I also gave him like a daughter.
The one time I've written Mr. Grumpy, I also gave him a daughter who is no longer headcanon to be the child of Mr. Grumpy anymore. Sorry, man.
It's like the idea of Mr. Grumpy with like this little baby is just the cutest thing because when Mr. Grumpy is happy, it is a very, very wonderful sight.
It is a very, very wonderful sight. Like every time he smiles, I just feel joy. I experience so much joy. Mr. Grumpy is just amazing, and I think that everyone should know it. I think that everyone should just acknowledge at least once a day that Mr. Grumpy is amazing.
Mr. Grumpy is amazing.
He is amazing. Mr. Quiet, the character I say is my favorite character because I refuse to admit that Mr. Stubborn is my favorite character. I love him very, very much. Corey, I'm taking over this one. Mr. Quiet is amazing. He's baby. That is Mr. Quiet. He is a little baby man. He is just blue. He is small, and he's baby. He is baby. He often gets the short end of the stick a lot of the time. He's kind of like Mr. Fussy in the sense where like they kind of just get beaten down by the world, but like I feel so bad for him a lot of the time, but I love him a lot too. It's like unlike Mr. Bump, who I can't stand seeing in bits because I know immediately what's going to happen. With Mr. Quiet, there's a bit more variety. Also, he's cuter. So, I just feel happier when I see him. Also, he and Mr. Strong are dating. I mentioned this in the Mr. Strong section, but I am mentioning it again because it is important for you to know that he and Mr. Strong are dating. They are boyfriends. That is all. Do you have anything to say, Corey?
Mr. Quiet deserved better.
He did deserve better.
Oh dear, you don't want to see this.
Mr. Tall. There is nothing I can say. He's Mr. Tall.
Mr. Tall was only in like one bit.
He was.
And that's it.
He wasn't even important to the bit. Mr. Tall is one of the characters who was used to cockblock Mr. Messi and Mr. Fussy. It's like, Mr. Strong was in that bit as well, but like, Mr. Tall was one of the ones. Like, it was a Mr. Messi and Mr. Fussy bit where they threw in extra characters for no reason. That is what Mr. Tall boils down to. He was used to make a bit not gay. And I think that's really sad.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say, Mr. Tall was an absolute downgrade from the like original little Mr. Ben and Little Miss cartoon. He was so good.
The 90s one?
Yeah, the 90s one. He was so good in that show, and they absolutely slandered him in the Mr. Men show, and I will never not be mad about it. He was so much better in the 90s show. That is all. I am very upset. Mr. Tall deserved better.
Wait! You forgot your propeller!
Mr. Scatterbrain. Good. Good, good, great, good, excellent, amazing, impeccable. Mr. Scatterbrain, I will give you all of my money. What is your opinion on Mr. Scatterbrain?
Mr. Scatterbrain is just a delightful character.
He is. His personality trait is stupid. And yet he works. He is so off the walls idiotic that like, and also he could just bend reality for no reason. Like, there's just multiple of him canonically. And it's like Mr. Scatterbrain is so good because like he is so stupid and yet he's also so off the walls. It's like the perfect combination of ridiculous put into this pink like avocado man. It's like he's amazing. He is perfect and I love him very much. Also, he's canonically transgender and I think that's epic.
And also gay.
He is canonically gay because he kissed Mr. Grumpy. They are dating. That is all. Yes.
Mr. Grumpy.
Mr. Grumpy and Mr. Scatterbrain are married.
Need I say more? I would prefer you say nothing.
I did them out of order on purpose because there is no way for me to talk about Mr. Stubborn and Mr. Rude separately. Okay, I know I literally already have an entire video about these two, but I can't just not go on extensively about the stuff that I didn't cover in that one video, because that video was just about how they work together, but even separately, wait, hold on, I got a story time about these two and how they came to eventually become my favorite characters, because I consider Mr. Stubborn to be my favorite character in this whole goddamn show. But when it started out, Mr. Stubborn used to be my absolute least favorite character in the whole show. I hated him violently. He annoyed me. I felt I was filled with instant dread as soon as he came on screen. That's the extent to which I hated this man. I also hated Mr. Rude, but not to the same extent. I just found he was annoying and I hated the fart jokes. I still do hate the fart jokes, but now I like Mr. Rude a lot more for other reasons. Anyways, I can trace back my liking of these two characters to one specific bit in the episode Full Moon. I have sung my praises of Full Moon before, but I will sing them again. Full Moon is so good. I remember that one bit. I remember when I watched it for the first time, the only thing that really stuck with me is the fact that Mr. Stubborn was confirmed to be an alien at the end, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? But then after that, I kind of thought about it more. And after rewatching it again, I was just like, yeah, this is the best bit in the entire show, and I cannot bring myself to hate either of these characters anymore. And then it kind of ended at that for a while. I started tolerating Mr. Stubborn and Mr. Rude. I didn't like them particularly much, but I didn't hate them anymore. But then there was a little bit of extra background information. Throughout the entire time I'd been watching this show, even when I still violently hated them, my girlfriend and I would always joke about a crack ship of Mr. Stubborn and Mr. Rude. Why? Because they were two crusty old men who hated each other, and we thought it was hilarious. That's why it was a crack ship. It was we thought it was funny. So, but then we started drawing joke fan art of it. We would make stupid little MS Paint doodles of them. But then one fateful day at school, I drew them in my sketchbook holding hands, and I put a little heart above them. And it was at that moment that I realized that I had let myself get attached to those two stupid idiots. The rest is history. If you know any of my social media activity outside of YouTube, you know that I have been going absolutely bonkers over these two ever since. They are married. I don't know what else to say. I care about them very much. Even if they are both horrible, horrible, horrible old men, I think they're very important to me. They are very important to me. Do you have anything to say about Grape Man and Red Fart Man before we go on?
Red Fart Man.
He sure is Red Fart Man.
Miss Sunshine, start screaming!
Starting off the little misses with Miss Bossy. I don't have anything to say about her, so giving it to Corey.
Miss Bossy, I don't really think she appeared in enough segments to truly pass an accurate judgment, but she appears to be somewhat military based in the show.
Which I think is neat. It's cool.
I love how there's a flag of herself outside her house.
That's really funny.
And I think what most people remember from Miss Bossy in this show is that she's voiced by Cheryl Chase, who is also Angelica in Rugrats.
Yeah.
And that's very, very distracting when you're watching the US version of the show.
Yep.
Which is why I kind of prefer her UK voice. And also because her UK voice actually sounds like an adult.
Instead of baby man.
Well, baby woman.
Yeah. I call everyone baby man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Miss Naughty. Lovely monkeys.
Miss Nutty. She's a criminal.
Little Miss Nutty.
She's a criminal. I don't like her that much. She's just kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Naughty is kind of just
She's mean
like
to
that.
Mr. Nervous. Which I don't think is very nice of her. Yeah, there's not much else we can say about Miss Naughty. She's a criminal. Actually, no. Her and Miscarious are dating. That is all.
Also, her U.S. voice sounds like she's trying to seduce everyone she talks to.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yes! I get to be tied up!
Moving on to Miss Sunshine, the classic herself.
Yay!
Yay. She is perfect. That's it. She is perfect.
Miss Sunshine, I would trust her with my entire life.
I would too. Actually, I might not with my entire life, considering she is very dopey, but otherwise, yeah, I would trust her. It's like she is physically impossible. She cannot harm you. She is just amazing. I love her very much. She is important to me.
Yeah, Miss Sunshine is wonderful.
Yep.
Makers of the instant bed, instant chair, instant house.
Miss Helpful. She's good. Not much
Miss Helpful.
not much else I can say. She's good.
Miss Helpful for me is just kind of like there.
She is kind of just there. She's not particularly notable. She's just kind of hanging out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss Magic. The face of season 2. Yeah, she's Miss Magic. She's cool, I guess.
She goes poof.
She gave us Scary Pineapple.
Yep. She sure did.
We really don't have much to say on a lot of the little misses. I think it's because of misogyny. Because the show doesn't have the best portrayal of women in general, so a lot of them just aren't that notable. It's kind of sad.
There was a lot going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, we'll get into that at another time.
Release all of those sounds that are trapped in your mind.
Miss Giggles, one of the most pointless characters, but she is one of the cutest, so it's okay.
Miss Giggles also deserved better.
She did deserve better. It seems like she does the exact same thing in every single bit she's in. It's like she is called up on the telephone and she is the receptionist, and then she laughs at them when they give her request. That is her only shtick ever. And I wish they had done more with her than just that, because she's just really repetitive and stuff. It's like, what's the point? Why? What is the point? Yeah.
Miss Giggle, she's baby.
Yep. There's not really much else we can say. She's just pretty cool, I guess. I wish she did more than just that. Miss Chatterbox. Ironically enough, I have nothing to say.
Miss Chatterbox sure is a character.
Yeah, she's a character. She talks a lot and she upsets Mr. Quiet, so she gives a bad taste in my mouth because of that. However, she is one of Mr. Rude's few canon friends, which makes her a little bit okay. Yeah, she's Miss Chatterbox. Miscarious.
Oh, poor Miscarious.
She had 2 lines in the entire show.
And one of them was immediately followed up with Mr. Rude wishing she would get eaten by a bear.
Which was funny as fuck. Regardless, Miscarious, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Miscarious. Well, now what?
Will someone take her away? Preferably a bear.
I always come downstairs for salesmen!
Miss Scary, my first ever favorite character of the show. While I don't consider her to be one of my favorites anymore, I still really like her, and she is probably one of my favorite of the Little Misses.
Yeah.
She's like I really like the fact that she is really gender neutral. Like, obviously she's a little miss because it's in her name, but like it'd be really easy to look at her and see, oh, it'd be really easy to look at her and assume that she's a guy because of how gender neutral she is in general. Even like her voice, at least in the US version, is like she's really androgynous, and I really like that because a lot of the other Little Misses are like explicitly feminine, but then you have this one, she's different. I just think that's neat. Like, they kind of broke the mold with her a bit, and I think that's very very swag of her.
They
Yeah.
broke the mold by literally not changing anything about her book design.
Yeah, she's literally just she's just the she's uh yeah, she just looks identical to how she does in the books. Good for her. Also, I still cannot look at her book cover without bursting out laughing. It is so funny to me.
Is that so?
Yeah. Miss Whoops.
Miss Whoops?
Miss Whoops.
Miss Stephen. That's just how she talks.
It is how she talks. Miss Whoops is the first character in this show that I distinctly remember hating at some point. Like, she was the first ever character who I hated. I actually love her now, but I hated her when I first started watching it. But now I love her because she's Miss Whoops. You can't hate Miss Whoops. Like, it's impossible. You're not allowed to. Like,
She's literally she's trying her best, okay?
yeah. I love her a lot.
Her voice is funny too. No matter which version of the show you watch, you're guaranteed a really good Miss Whoops voice.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the US one is hilarious because she sounds like a duck, and the UK one is hilarious because she sounds like that. You know? It's like the funny. Mr. Bounce, you're breaking the safety rules. You have to wait for me to let you off. Why is it always that bit that we quote?
Not at all. Seems simple enough.
I'm a trained professional.
Whoops!
Whoop!
Did a clown just run past me? It's Miss Calamity.
Miss Calamity. Rest in peace.
Oh boy, this freaking Calamity!
May she rest in peace. I miss her every day. Well,
So, Miss Calamity, her thing was that they invented her just to bully her and then removed her from the show because they decided they didn't like her anymore.
yeah, she's honestly really tragic to think about. It's like
That is like one of
her entire
the
existence.
saddest fucking fates of any character.
It's like she is tragic. It's like her entire life was misery, and then she was just removed and disappeared, probably never to be seen again. Except in
Yeah,
that one, in that one Sanrio comic where she did appear.
and I don't even know if they have enough of the rights that they can make a book out of her, because I would love if there was a Little Miss Calamity book.
Same with Miss Daredevil, who's next.
Speaking of Miss Daredevil,
It is going to thrill the pickles out of you. So, what do you say? Are you in?
Miss Daredevil. She's pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. Like, she's fine.
Miss Daredevil was just vibing.
She's like, she seems like she's vibed for the entire show. She's never really faced consequences for any of her multiple shitty actions, but honestly, it's fine. She's just hanging out, man. Like, don't ruin her vibe. It seems like a lot of the time she seems to bully Mr. Quiet, which normally would make me absolutely hate her, but like, honestly, it's like, well, she does bully Mr. Quiet occasionally. He doesn't get too badly hurt in most of her bits, because like she like helps him or whatever, and it's like it's nice. It's nice. I think they're friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're friends.
they are friends. Well, that was our opinions on every single Mr. Man and Little Miss in the Mr. Men show. What a journey.
It's late at night. Can I go to bed now?
Yeah, sure. Good
I
night.
never got my soup.
Good night.
It's too late at night to make soup now.
Gonna make just you can make soup tomorrow.
Fine, I'll have soup for breakfast tomorrow. I don't give a shit.
Awesome. Okay, good night for real
Yay.
now.
Good night. I'm signing off. Goodbye.
And now I am alone.